Hello, all you patrons. Welcome to another pre-show. Gather round, gather round.
Indeed, indeed. And look, they're wearing their Eastertide finery in their Easter bonnets with all the frills. The one lady over there, she looks like Eleanor Clift. Talk about hot.
Well, I'm a married man, Charles,
Well,
so I
there's
can't
that.
say anything.
All right, I don't want to I don't want to tempt you to horrors with the beauty of Eleanor Clift. That would be really too much for everyone. No, that lady's too hot to handle. I'll tell you, she's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she shops. She bought her broom at the same place that Mrs. Clinton did and Kamala Harris. They all bought their brooms at the same car dealership.
Wow, those must be some quality brooms.
I'll tell you what, you don't fly around like they do on 50-cent brooms.
Is Eleanor Clift married?
Oh gosh, yes, she is. She was married. I think she's a widow. But she was married to the brother of Montgomery Clift.
The actor.
The actor.
The actor. I only know him in like Here to Eternity, right? Or the wasn't he in From Here to Eternity?
Yeah, I think so. I know he was in Raintree County and a bunch of things. He was Elizabeth Taylor's great friend. No,
I don't even know what that means. What does it mean?
Well,
Great friend.
No, Montgomery Clift had gender issues, but he was very close to Elizabeth Taylor. They were very good friends, and there were a lot of films together.
Okay, I thought that might have been a euphemism because I thought she married multiple times.
She did, but believe me, her relationship with Montgomery Clift was completely platonic. Trust me on this one.
All right, very good.
But he was a fine actor, even though, despite his other issues. And his, if you had a sister-in-law that hot, you could see why, he had the issues he had.
All right. So, this is kind of an impromptu pre-show. I hadn't planned for a pre-show, but
here we are.
So what's going on with you, Charles? What's at the top of your mind?
Well, right now, the most extraordinary discovery came to me a couple of days ago, where it was pointed out to me that Sister Faustina, Saint Faustina, the Divine Mercy Lady, had a interesting entry on her diary.
Really?
Yes. And just to show you that I'm capable of something or other, I don't know what. Just to show that I'm capable, this is Saint Faustina's entry for December 17th, 1936. Remember that date, ladies and gentlemen. December 17th, 1936. Quote, I have offered this day for priests. I have suffered more today than ever before, both interiorly and exteriorly. I did not know it was possible to suffer so much in one day. I tried to make a holy hour, in the course of which my spirit had a taste of the bitterness of the Garden of Gethsemane. I am fighting alone, supported by Azam against all the difficulties that face me like unassailable walls. But I trust in the power of his name, and I fear nothing. Well, December 17th, 1936. You know who was born that day?
Haven't the foggiest.
The Holy Father, Pope Francis.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. It's bizarre and random. I don't ask you for an explanation.
Are we going to make a connection? Are we going to make a correlation there? What are we doing with that?
We ain't doing nothing. We're just throwing it out there.
We're just throwing it out there.
There's a phrase in modern speech, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. And that's I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Man.
I really am not quite sure. It's kind of like when the lightning hit the Dome of St. Peter's, It's very suggestive, but I couldn't tell you precisely what it means. Doesn't seem nice, though.
Yeah.
So who knows what it means, but what I will say, it's interesting that the day he was born, someone that, he's such an enemy of Trannery.
Yeah.
This is almost a trans dream quote.
Yeah, I guess so. Unfortunately, for those who aren't fans of Faustina, it puts them in a weird position, which is,
Yeah, well, it puts a lot of fans of Faustina in a weird position.
well, I think fans of Faustina will simply say that's coincidence, right?
Yeah, divine
Or,
mercy and divine providence and coincidence. Yeah, no.
well, wait. I mean, I'm a fan of Faustina, but so I just don't see. I don't see a problem with it. What's up? What are you saying is the problem?
Well, I mean, people who are Sister Faustina fans, Saint Faustina fans, and are great lovers of everything Pope Francis has done,
I see.
will find this very uncomfortable.
Right.
Or, they say it's only a coincidence. Well, what sort of coincidences really exist?
Hmm.
In the spiritual world, there are no coincidences. Not in the physical world either, but we like to pretend because it makes us feel more
Well,
secure.
that's true. I mean, that's actually very important to keep in mind that everything happens to us is not a coincidence. That God is
God's
micromanaging everything in a sense.
In a sense, he sure is. I mean, there's full scope for our free will. But, like, if you look at the Eucharistic miracles of the past 30 years, the 6 different locations, it seems sort of weird, random, and scattershot to us. But because he's done it, obviously there's a reason for it. I don't know what that reason is. Why there should be 2 in Poland and 1 each in the other countries. But see, that's also presuming that there aren't any others, which we don't know.
Right.
I mean, trying to figure out the divine will is even harder than trying to figure out our own intelligence.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's my first rock in the water in the pool.
Okay.
Kind of like the fellowship outside the mines of Moria, throwing the rock in the pool.
Do not disturb the water.
Yeah, and I just did. I threw a rock in. So if a tentacle comes out and grabs me, be ready to cut it off. Well, you don't know. You throw rocks like that, you never know. Remember, we're at a time, it's like today, when we're actually doing this, is the Friday of Easter week. And as you know, there's been all sorts of debate about meat or not to meat on the Friday of Easter week. And what I put out on Twitter was that I'm not revealing what I'm doing today, but I am condemning anyone who's not doing what I'm doing.
Wow.
Yeah. That's my right as a Twitter person, an influencer. And what's the other word they use? There's influencers. Oh, and as an internet personality. So I have the right to demonize people who are doing things differently from me. And I have the added thing of not telling what it is I'm doing.
Wow.
So basically, there's a whole bunch of people out there who are wrong, and I'll act abusively toward them because they're wrong.
Yeah.
But I'll never reveal the why or the when of how they're wrong. See?
Good job.
Makes me feel better about myself. More Christian. More Christ-like.
You're a crusader.
Yes, exactly. For the something or other.
Yeah.
I can't say for the truth, but certainly I feel better about myself, which is the whole point. But no, seriously, this is the kind of thing people get wrapped up around. One good question that was asked is, if you're so keen on having meat today, what about the other Fridays? And that's a fair question. I mean, if you only observe the abstinence in Lent and not the rest of the year, that's one thing.
Yeah, that kind of bothers me. That always bothers, because like my family, we do the Knights of Columbus Monrovia fish dinners.
Yeah.
And apparently they have dinners on Friday every single week of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And they're always, I guess most people normally, they really grab a lot of people for the fish dinners, but then always it happens on Good Friday that they try to get everybody next week because they're having tri-tip on Friday. And it's like,
yeah,
maybe no. So that's always bothered my mom, me. I don't know why they have to do that, but the good thing, the good part of it is they get a lot of non-Catholics, so it's like I was chatting around with some people, and I was actually kind of shocked because some other Christian denominations go in, so hopefully those people are converted.
We hope. Although you reminded me, meant bringing up tri-tip, which is a very Californian thing, ladies and gentlemen. Santa Maria tri-tip, just saying that. You reminded me of something totally unrelated, very random. Well, after a particularly expensive dinner, some of my relations and I recently came up with the idea of getting a doggy bag for the purpose of tipping the waiter.
How do you tip? Wait, a doggy bag? Like, how does that work?
Well, you save up the food for like 2 or 3 people at the table. You know, what you would normally bring home because it's too much for anything to eat. And then in lieu of a money tip,
you just give them the doggy bag?
This ain't a tip, this is a tri-tip.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think waiters and waitresses will really go for that though. It seems innovative.
I tell you, it's something going to a restaurant with you. I remember one time, I forgot what the occasion was, but we were going to BJ's. It was at BJ's, and we were with a mutual friend, and it's time to pay up, and you're like, oh, I'm not into the whole money thing.
No.
And to watch the waitress squirm so hard because, like, she actually, Charles just likes doing this. He just likes messing with people.
Oh, that's
and people don't know how, like, they're just like, yeah, and do this nervous laugh thing.
No, she didn't laugh nervously, but she got a good tip.
Oh, I'm sure you're a great tipper.
The tip, it was true. I told her, ladies and gentlemen, I said, I'm really not into the whole money thing. I'm not about the whole cash for services. So, I mean, I think our relationship needs to be based on something deeper than that. I think it has to be a mutual shared admiration of the culinary arts. And I think that it would cheapen our relationship to bring money into the issue.
I think part of the problem is that sort of presentation from you requires assertiveness. But with customer service, it's always sort of bowing to the customer, being very meek, very gentle, and if the customer, that's just not in the playbook for this.
No. If the customer is completely off his head, there's obviously a problem. Houston, we have a problem. No, it is true, ladies and gentlemen. The amount of fun you can have with waiters and waitresses. But the trick is, if you are abusive in the way I've indicated, tip well. If you're going to do theater of the absurd, make sure they don't lose by it.
Okay. Well, anything else?
A lot of things.
St. George?
St. George. Tomorrow is April 23rd. The feast day of St. George, the Dragon Slayer, patron of England, of Russia, of Portugal, of Ethiopia, a lot of other places.
Wow, a multi-country saint.
Yeah, well, there are several of those, actually. St. Andrew is everybody. I mean, St. Andrew has Scotland, the Basques, a number of other places. Oh, St. George is the patron of Genoa.
Okay.
And he's the co-patron of Venice. He was the patron of Venice before St. Mark. And then when St. Mark came along, when they took the relics of St. Mark to Venice, he was still maintained.
How does that organically happen? Is it really arbitrary and just based off perhaps some leaders' devotion?
Well, not necessarily. It also happens sometimes from apparitions, like St. George appeared in a battle in Portugal against the Moors.
Okay, so what about like St. George? Why is he a patron of Genoa?
I do not know. I just know he is. But there'll have been some connection. The thing about St. George is that the Genoese were very much involved in the Crusades. And although there was devotion to him in the West before the Crusades, he really became a big deal after. Like, before the Crusades, St. Edward the Confessor was the patron of England. but, and then too, when he became the patron of knights and chivalry, people really got wild about him. And because he's patron of knights and chivalry, he's patron of the Boy Scouts.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, the Boy Scouts, well, who determines that? I mean, is the founder?
Well, the founder, Lord Baden-Powell.
Yeah, you're a big fan.
Yeah, I am. He decreed that the patron of the Scouts was St. George because he conceived of scouting as a modern-day chivalry.
Wow.
We don't exactly underemphasize that in American scouting, but we add the American Indian motif to it.
Yeah.
But no, the St. George is a big figure, and of course, the old tale of St. George and the Dragon is seen as a symbol of his fight against evil. We know that he was an officer of the Imperial Guard of Diocletian. He refused to become a pagan, so he was executed. So, there was an attempt by the moron Gibbon, who wrote The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, to identify him with this George of somewhere or other, who was an Arian heretic. Mm. But we know that there were churches dedicated to St. George before this guy even existed.
Yeah.
The story of the dragon, as I say, is generally seen as symbolic, but there's a big but here. There was a Greek Orthodox priest. He's very popular in Greece too, by the way, St. George. Yeah. Who was looking into the possibility that there was he actually killed a Komodo dragon-like creature of a species now thankfully extinct in the Near East. Okay. I don't know how far that went, but that's what he was looking at.
Okay.
And so
now thankfully extinct, by the way.
Well, yeah.
I disavow. PETA's going to come after you.
Then you know what PETA needs to do? They need to visit the island of Komodo and sit on a lizard and see what happens.
Why do they have to sit on a lizard? Why can't they just respect the lizards?
Because the lizards are horrible. I mean, they will kill you.
I mean, that's like saying, why don't you sit on an alligator, right? Like,
yeah,
do you want alligators to be extinct? I love alligators.
Yeah, you ever eat with one?
So what? Everything carnivorous that's sizable must die?
It is if it's in the wrong place.
What does that mean?
Well, think of the Monrovian Gila monster.
Okay, now you've gone off the reservation.
What?
Now you've...
If you still had the bane of the San Gabriel Valley, the Monrovia Arcadia Gila monster, we could never have settled this area. Thankfully, they became extinct long before man came here.
I actually am familiar with Gila monsters, and they're like yay big.
Yeah, well, they weren't here. They were like...
Oh, they were that big?
Yeah, they were that big.
Just humanity could not overcome the Gila monster.
No, it had to die out on its own, and it did. That's why there aren't any left. When the first Indians came, they were all gone.
You're a monster.
Giant Gila monsters. Haven't you ever seen the film?
What, the film called Giant Gila?
The Giant Gila monster. It was a classic in the 50s.
I don't even know.
You've never seen the Giant Gila monster?
No, I haven't seen the Giant Gila monster.
Oh, a classic movie of teenage angst. Teenagers fighting a Giant Gila monster. You seem confused.
I am confused, but it's okay because confusion is the guardian of truth.
That's very true. Whoever said that must have been a wise person. Or out of his head. Oh, man, Shevitz.
So, I don't know. I guess we'll wrap things up. We're doing everything. It's been quite a day, ladies and gentlemen. We have had so many technical difficulties. I could not find the charger to my camcorder, which normally we film here. So I couldn't use my camcorder. I tried to use my PC. My PC literally crashes. The hard drive has crashed. Thankfully, I brought my Apple laptop with me. So we are actually recording on my Apple laptop because that's how bad we wanted to do a show today.
This is true. And the fact that all the relevant staff are taking their Easter holiday today, all this week, everybody except Tyrone is gone, and you don't want to trust that boy with a computer.
Yeah, we've got my laptop on a stack of of books, so that it's somewhat our height.
It's true.
And I keep touching this because so the screen doesn't turn off because I didn't think this through.
However, as an inspiration, we can't see you or ourselves, but we do have a big picture of Eleanor Clift in all her beauty.
Yeah.
Isn't she pretty?
Absolutely. Well, I can't.
That's true. We don't want to get your wife upset with you. Although if she feels jealous over that. All right, enough of that. Now, I understand you went to Mass this past week and saw famous people.
Yeah, I saw Gary Sinise for the first time. He was all dressed up in a suit. We went to Mass over in Simi Valley.
Is it as Simi as they say?
Wow. But no, it's the same parish. We actually, I saw Jim Caviezel there twice as well. That a parish that will go nameless in Simi Valley. So it's pretty cool.
St. Oswald the Great?
No, it's not St. Oswald the Great. Sorry.
I see. All right.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that you see some celebrities there, and I don't know. It's we've got a lot of Catholic celebrities. I heard some good things about Father Stu. Apparently, it was a 3-day event. Mark Wahlberg is getting into it, and
well, he plays the lead. The interesting thing is that the Stu, what's his name, the character on who it's based, he actually taught in my alma mater, Alameda High School.
Oh, really?
Yep, after my time.
But so you used to be a prisoner or a felon, and then you became a priest or something? I thought that's the story. I thought that's the story.
Yes, but Alameda was not a reform school, which is the impression you're giving. No, it was as he was discovering his faith, he went to Alameda as a teacher.
Oh, okay.
So, but Alameda was not then, nor is it now, a reform school. Thank you very much. Gosh, this was not a 50s exploitation film, reform school girls, that kind of thing.
Okay, so Alameda. But didn't the other school that you go to, that closed down, right?
Yeah, Daniel Murphy.
But it's not, okay, Alamany's still up and running.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very much so. Although it's in a different location.
Oh.
The one I was in was destroyed by the Northridge quake.
Oh.
And so they moved and they took over the then vacant minor seminary.
I see. So
next to San Fernando Mission. And that's Alameda High now. All that's left of the old Alameda is the office, which was turned into the central part of a storage facility. Up until a few years ago, they still had a cross on top, which was interesting for a storage facility. But they took the cross down, I guess, to placate the scumbags who own us. I don't think there's anything wrong with being owned by scumbags, do you?
What can you do?
Accept and obey your masters. That's what I do.
Clearly. Or get out of town.
I would never dream of getting out of town. Speaking of which,
okay.
I didn't see any celebrities from my Easter week, but I'll tell you what. At school, we had on Spy Wednesday, we had the Byzantine liturgy of the Presanctified, followed shortly thereafter by the pre-55 Tenebrae service.
Wow.
All done by the students, I have to tell you. Okay. And it gets even wilder. The Palm Sunday was pre-55 in Vienna, at the Paulanerkirche. Easter, or not Easter, but the Vigil, I was, on Good Friday, I did the Veneration of the Shroud, which is the Byzantine thing. It's just like the Veneration of the Cross. They're very similar. But I went to the Liturgy of St. Basil on the Vigil. And then, because it ended early enough, I went into Vienna for the 62 Vigil, the 55 Vigil. Because they were forbidden to do the Triduum in the pre-55, but not everything else. So,
Yeah.
That was great. Vienna at Easter is wonderful. Vienna at any time was wonderful.
What you eat?
What did I eat?
Yeah.
When? Oh, on Easter Day?
Yeah.
Lamb.
Ah.
Well, let me qualify that. We had in the morning, on Easter morning, we had the Byzantine liturgy of St. John Chrysostom. and the blessing of the baskets.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, we had a sort of agape with all sorts of goodies.
Yeah.
Then I went to lunch at the fabulous Cafe Vess and had Austin Schinken, Easter ham.
Ah, wow. That's my favorite.
It was great. And then that evening, we had the Resurrection Vespers, as they call them, followed by a big Easter feast, of which the primary meat was lamb. Although my Chinese classmate Libby made her killer Chinese dumplings.
You know, I don't know if I've ever had lamb. What's a good way to... How should someone have lamb for the first time? Should they cook it themselves? Should they go to a certain place? Should they get a certain style?
Well, what I would do, if you've never had lamb before, see, one thing depends on how well you cook as a rule. If you're not much of a cook, don't do it.
Sure.
But basically, you'll find three things.
Yeah.
Leg of lamb, lamb chops, and then the lamb roast, which is the hardest to find.
What's the one with all the bones sticking out, where it's like the bones are almost more prevalent than the meat, where it's really long bones?
Lamb chops.
Lamb chops. Okay. Gordon Ramsay always does those.
Yeah, well, it could have been crown roast of lamb, I think. No, yeah, it'd be lamb chops.
But you don't recommend those?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Oh, you do?
No, I mean, I'll take lamb any way I can get it.
Okay.
I mean, what we had two different lamb dishes. We had roast leg of lamb, and we had braised lamb shoulder, both of which were just out of this world.
Where, at least in the Southern California area, is the best place for lamb?
You mean, what restaurant?
What restaurant?
Oh, heavens. Well, I would have said Musso and Frank's, but they can't get lamb anymore.
Yeah.
The last time I was there, it wasn't on the menu.
No.
And I asked what had happened, because they had lamb roast for years and years. And they said they've got, since COVID, they've had problems with supply.
Oh, yeah.
So, right now, I can't really recommend an LA area restaurant that sells lamb. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you know of any, send it in, and we shall make the information known to our wide family of off-the-menu viewers. Lamb will be on the menu.
All right.
Or deviled eggs.
Oh, well, of course. Of course.
Deviled eggs. I think Easter without deviled eggs is like...
Yeah.
It was a little traumatic, though, for me this year.
Why?
Well, early in the morning, I got up. And about 6 a.m.
Okay.
And I opened my door. There was no basket. The Easter Bunny hadn't come. So I gave him another hour. Then I opened the door again. 8 o'clock. Second hour. Nope. And finally, I had to go off to the liturgy. You know, I couldn't wait around any longer. And the Easter Bunny never showed.
Maybe someone cut off his foot with a hacksaw so that they'd have a lucky rabbit's foot.
Not again.
I'll never forget that Easter episode we did.
That was a little crazy. Easter Bunny's lucky rabbit's foot.
He was limping around.
When they grow back, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, the same miracle that allows the Easter Bunny to lay eggs allows his foot to grow back. But no, seriously, it was great, of course, because we've had Easter. The other great feasts are on the horizon, Pentecost and Corpus Christi and the Sacred Heart and so forth. So, in the midst of all the drivel and bizarrity, bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that good times are coming.
Absolutely. All right, that's going to do it for the pre-show, but stay tuned for the full episode. We got a really good full episode. Questions from Nick, a couple from Mason, Charles, of course, Vendée Radio, and, of course, the big money man, Jonathan. Thank you all so much for supporting the show for so long. We really appreciate you guys so much. And I love hearing all your comments, by the way. The whole food thing, you know, I might not respond to everybody, but it's such a treat. Listen to all you crazy people out there.
Oh, listen to you. let me. What he meant to say was, it's very enlightening to hear alternative points of view. That's what he meant to say.
And Don from Florida, fellow paisan, I'm loving his stuff. A lot of really, I feel like, intelligent comments on things. So thank you, Don from Florida, specifically.
You feel that way about any Italian? I don't know what the story is. No, seriously, ladies and gentlemen, it is great to get your comments. They are read very carefully, sometimes thought about, from time to time.
Of course.
But no, God bless you all. I thought of you all, and I prayed for our family of viewers at Madeira, as we mentioned last time. Pray to Emperor Carl in these wild times. We need a little bit of sanity and leadership, and if we don't have any in the physical world, we need to turn to the spiritual realm. So, anyhow, we shall see you in a few minutes.